How we choose to live as adults, well, that's a choice that we make, but we're trying to make the best choices so that they have a better life. So it's about them. When I see somebody making the efforts to make life for them better, well, then we're on the same page.
There is something every man eventually has to decide. Not what happened to him, not what someone did to him, not what he lost, but what he's going to do with it. Because life will give every man something he didn't ask for. A broken relationship, a disappointing father, a failed marriage, a missed opportunity, a betrayal, a mistake, a season of life he wishes he could go back and change. And sometimes, the hardest part isn't what happened. It's what we continue carrying after it happened. Because there comes a point when the thing that hurt you yesterday can become the thing that controls you today. And sometimes, the thing holding you back is the very thing you're holding on to.
That's a powerful statement because men are often taught to solve problems. We're taught to identify the problem, attack the problem, fix the problem. But what happens when the problem is something you can't fix? What happens when the past can't be changed? What happens when the apology never comes? What happens when the person who hurt you doesn't become the person you needed them to be? At some point, a man has to make a decision. Am I going to spend the rest of my life trying to change what happened? Or am I going to start changing what happens next? That's where maturity begins.
My dad, at the end of the day, I'm going to love my dad for simply being my dad. Now, my dad's life, had several different versions of drastic downs, right? A small amount of ups, but a lot of downs. I can easily sit here and ridicule or judge my dad for the mistakes that he made or for his past, but that does nothing. I don't like to focus on problem. I focus on solution.
Yes.
So with me and my dad in our relationship, it was always one of
The story. Imagine discovering the person who was supposed to protect you wasn't there. You grow up, you learn to survive without him, you build your own identity, and eventually you have a choice. You can spend your life asking, why wasn't he there? Or you can begin asking, what am I going to do with the life I have? The second question doesn't erase the first. It simply refuses to let the first question control the rest of your life. That's an important distinction. Letting go doesn't mean pretending something didn't hurt. It doesn't mean calling wrong right. It doesn't mean forgetting. And it certainly doesn't mean allowing someone to continue harming you. Sometimes letting go simply means you don't get to control my future because of what you did in my past.
Yes.
So with me and my dad in our relationship, it was always one of solution. Like you can't go back and fix the years that you weren't present. There is nothing that we can do about that time. We can have a conversation about it. We can talk about it. And then me and my dad talking, my biggest thing was you don't have to focus on what you can't change. The fact that you're here now and that you made a decision to get clean, to turn your life around. It's never too late. My dad was, 50 plus at the time when he said, I'm gonna go ahead and figure it out. And I'm gonna close that door and I'm gonna work on this other door. This door over here was, like I said, jail, drugs, in and out of his kid's life, to the point where, there's a time when we didn't know where my dad was. And I bumped into my dad on a train. I tell a story. I bumped into my dad on a public transportation in Philadelphia. Like not seeing him in years, I randomly saw my...
The lesson. Kevin's story reveals something important about forgiveness. Sometimes healing doesn't come from fixing the original relationship. Sometimes healing comes from watching something new grow. His father couldn't go backward and become the father Kevin needed when he was young, but he could become a different grandfather. And Kevin recognized the effort. That doesn't rewrite the past, but it can change the meaning of the future. This is something men need to understand. You don't always heal by repairing what was broken. Sometimes you heal by building something that wasn't there before. A better relationship with your children, a healthier marriage, a stronger friendship, a different relationship with yourself, a new family tradition, a life that doesn't repeat the patterns you inherited. The goal isn't always to repair yesterday. Sometimes the goal is to build tomorrow.
What I do very well, I don't hold on to grudges or gripes. It takes too much time, it takes too much energy. Things will work themselves out. They never not have. It'll always work itself out. I mean, my dad worked it out, right? Like, it's about the grandkids. And our relationship got better as he embraced the opportunity to be a great grandpa. And seeing him try to do that right was his way of saying, I wish I could have done this right for you. I can't. Like, I know what you're saying without saying it. Sometimes you don't need words. Although some people do need them, sometimes your actions are a little better. And my dad's actions in trying his best to be an unbelievable grandfather.
Think about what a grudge actually requires from you. It requires energy, attention, memory, rehearsal. You have to keep remembering what happened. You have to keep replaying what they said. You have to keep imagining what you should have said. You have to keep waiting for them to understand. And sometimes you don't even realize that you're still giving the person power. The person may have moved on. They may not even know you're still angry, but you're still carrying the emotional bill. That's why Kevin's statement is so important. The grudge monster doesn't have to have an existence in you. A man doesn't demonstrate strength by holding on to everything. Sometimes strength is knowing what deserves to stay and what needs to go. Practical steps. 1. Identify what you're carrying. Name it. Is it anger, regret, resentment, disappointment, a relationship, an old version of yourself? You can't release something you refuse to acknowledge. 2. Separate the past from the present. Ask yourself, is this still happening or am I still reacting to what happened? The past may explain your reaction. It doesn't have to determine your response. 3. Focus on the solution. You may not be able to change what happened, but you can change what happens next. Ask, what is within my control today? Then put your energy there. 4. Stop waiting for someone else to give you closure. Sometimes the apology never comes. Sometimes the explanation isn't enough. Sometimes the other person doesn't have the emotional maturity to give you what you need. You may have to close the chapter yourself. 5. Build something better. Don't allow your pain to become your identity. Take what you learned and use it. Become the father you needed. Become the friend you needed. Become the husband you needed. Become the man you needed when you were younger. Turn the wound into wisdom. Inner work. This is where the work becomes personal. Ask yourself, what am I still holding on to? Who are you still angry with? What conversation are you still having in your head? What apology are you still waiting for? What mistake are you still punishing yourself for? What version of your life are you still wishing you could return to? And perhaps the most important question, what is holding me back because I refuse to let it go? Now ask yourself something even harder. If I released this, who could I become? Because sometimes we become so familiar with our pain that we begin confusing it with our identity. You are not what happened to you. You are not the worst thing someone did to you. You are not your father's mistakes. You are not your failed relationship. You are not your divorce. You are not your greatest failure. You are the man who decides what happens next.
Well, it's not about us, right? Like, me and my ex-wife got to a point of realization, after having a significant amount of ups and downs, after our divorce, we got to a point where you realize it's not about us. Like, we did it. We had our opportunity and we're now adults. How we choose to live as adults, well, that's a choice that we make, but we're trying to make the best choices so that they have a better life. So it's about them. When I see somebody making the efforts to make life for them better, well, then we're on the same page.
Mm-hmm. We have the same vision.
We got the same vision.
Yeah.
It's not about us at this point. It's not about us as a generation at this point. It's about us trying our best to do things, to create change, to move ground, shift the gear so that they have a much better opportunity than what we did.
Yeah.
The baton. This may be the most important part of the conversation. Eventually, a man has to stop asking, "What did I get?" and start asking, "What am I leaving?" That's the baton. Every generation receives something. Some of us inherited wisdom, some inherited dysfunction, some inherited strong families, some inherited broken ones, some inherited examples worth following, others inherited examples worth changing. But eventually, the baton comes into our hands, and we have a responsibility. Not to pass every wound forward, not to make our children pay for what our parents did, not to make the next generation carry our unfinished business, but to take what we received, heal what we can, change what needs to be changed, and pass forward something better. That's manhood.
It works itself out.
Yeah.
And, and losing my dad is when you look back and you go, yo, he was all right. Right? Like my reflection, my conversation, my words when I speak on behalf of my father, they're so positive and dope because he did good. I'm all right.
Mm-hmm.
I came out okay. Mom, Dad, you did good.
Yeah.
Like whatever you did to put whatever recipe in this pot, the food came out all right. I'm a good person. I got a good heart. I treat people with respect. Ultimately, I want the most that I can possibly get out of life. I love to love. I'm a good dude. Am I perfect? No. I got some of them imperfections over there. I got some of the ones from over here, from mom and dad. Okay, that's life.
Of course.
I'm going to figure it out, but
There was something Kevin said toward the end of this conversation that I think every man should sit with. His father wasn't perfect. He made mistakes. He missed moments. There were things that couldn't be undone. But when Kevin looked at his own life, he could still say, it came out all right. That's powerful. Because eventually, every man has to decide what story he's going to tell about where he came from. You can spend your life cataloging everything that went wrong. Or you can acknowledge what went wrong, learn from it, and build something right. Your past deserves honesty, but it doesn't deserve ownership of your future. You can honor what happened without living there. You can acknowledge the wound without continuing to bleed from it. And you can love someone while still maintaining boundaries. You can forgive without forgetting. You can move forward without pretending the past didn't matter. This week, identify one thing you're still carrying. Write it down. Name it. Then ask yourself, is carrying this helping me become the man I want to be? If the answer is no, begin releasing it. Not because what happened didn't matter, but because your future matters too much to let your past own it. Don't spend your life fighting yesterday. Build tomorrow. Don't focus only on the problem. Focus on the solution. And when the baton reaches your hands, don't pass forward everything you received. Pass forward something better. Because evolving manhood isn't just about becoming a better man for yourself. It's about becoming the kind of man whose growth makes life better for the people who come after him. Let go, grow forward, and pass the baton well. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Peace.